Good morning, Rams, and welcome back to another episode of the Ram Report Morning Show. I'm your host, Parker Bennick, as always, bringing you the Heights Sound Scoop. To begin our show, we'd like to go over some important information regarding our seniors. Here's Lar Pavlovic with the story.
With the school year slowly coming to a close, festivities for seniors have begun. Last Thursday, seniors participated in a parade with cars decorated with flags, streamers, and signs declaring their plans for next year. The parade was a big hit with many participants. This year, prom will also be taking place. The dance will be happening on June 11th at the Frog Bridge venue, with tickets costing $100 per person, and non-Heightstown students will not be allowed to attend. However, an after-prom will be occurring at iPlay America that night, with non-Heightstown students allowed to come.
Thank you, Laura, and to our seniors, you're almost there, but make sure to finish strong this year. Last Saturday, the world experienced comedy unlike ever before with a historically well-received episode of Saturday Night Live. Just kidding. Here's the story. Last Saturday, popular figure and Tesla CEO Elon Musk hosted Saturday Night Live, but it wasn't exactly well-received. Musk himself wasn't necessarily at fault for the poor reception of the episode, but his presence did draw it a lot of attention. Naturally, with so many people watching, the stakes were high, so the fallout from the episode's poor performance was ultimately that much larger. For starters, there's the Wario sketch, where the whole comedy of the sketch is, you guessed it, the actors dress up as Mario characters and do stereotypical Italian accents. And then there's the fan favorite Gen Z hospital sketch, where the actors essentially bash on the humor of modern adolescents using phrases that most of the audience, likely Gen X, wouldn't even be familiar with, phrases that I don't even really hear in the hallways at Heightstown High School. The whole episode really raised questions about who actually watches SNL and why, because it doesn't seem like their writing fits their target audience at all. The once hilarious sketches have now been reduced to schoolyard humor, and it really is a shame. And the show wasn't the only thing that bombed, with Dogecoin, a cryptocurrency, that Musk has advocated for, dropping 40% after his appearance on the show. It was quite the Saturday night, but at least the Chad on Mars sketch was alright, I guess.
What's the pressure reading on the tank?
Boobs.
You broke up a little there, but this is very important.
You'll need to pull the release lever
Slowly because of the pressure. Chad? Chad, are you all right?
All good.
I'm Parker Bennick with the Ram Report, back to you in the studio. You can catch this week's episode tomorrow, but watch at your own risk. Recently, Governor Murphy made some big announcements about his plans to reopen New Jersey. Here's Tilak Patel with more information.
Good morning, Rams. We're back with another COVID news, but this time we have some good news. The United States is going in the right direction, with the average number of daily cases dropping to 34,000. The cases have not been this low since September 8, 2020. The vaccine seems to be taking its effect. President Joe Biden recently announced his goals to vaccinate 70% of US citizens with at least one dose by July 4th. Now for an update on the India situation. The World Health Organization has warned that India's homegrown virus variant may be more contagious than other versions of coronavirus. On Wednesday, India recorded more than 360,000 new cases and more than 4,200 deaths, the country's highest daily death toll since the pandemic began. The world is coming together to save lives in India. The US has also previously provided $5.9 million in COVID relief to India. The UK rushed 140 ventilators and 495 oxygen generators to Delhi, and the Indian Air Force picked up 4 cryogenic oxygen tanks donated by Singapore. With help on the way from so many countries, hopefully India is better soon. I'm Tilak Patel for Ram Report. Back to you in the studio.
Thank you, Tilak. It's great to see that we're taking steps in the right direction. Moving on to sports, we're covering boys lacrosse this week. Here's Matthew Salter with more on the story.
The boys lacrosse team has started the year off hot with 3 straight wins against Nottingham, Ewing, and Steiner, beating all 3 by a combined 43 goals. Ever since that stretch, though, the boys have been in a slump, going on a 4-game losing streak, suffering losses from Princeton, Allentown, Notre Dame, and Hopewell Valley twice. The Rams have been led by many seniors, but a sophomore transfer from West Windsor, Grant Vincent, has been a surprising start on this year's team. The team has seen a dynamic duo in Lyndon Recchia and Grant Vincent. Lyndon leads the teams in goals, while Grant leads the teams in assists. The boys will look to add more wins tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. against West Windsor. I'm Matthew Solid with the Ram Report. Back to you.
Thank you, Matt, and hopefully they'll be able to grab that win over West Windsor tomorrow morning. Before we continue to our next moment of Zen, we'd like to introduce Mr. Kuntz, who'll be giving a formal apology for his use of copyrighted music in last week's segment.
Those of you who watched last week's Ram Report may have noticed a strange quiet spot during the title sequence of the moment of Zen. Well, it was all my fault. You see, I used a short segment of music for the open and close, and well, even though it sounds like Indian classical music, it was actually written by this guy, George Harrison, better known as the lead guitarist for this band, the Beatles. Anyway, the tune is called Within You, Without You, and it's probably the best known piece of Indian classical music ever, which is probably pretty annoying to Indian classical musicians, seeing how their traditional music was culturally appropriated by a British guy. Now, usually YouTube just flags copyrighted stuff like Within You, Without You, and life goes on. But not this time. No, YouTube blocked the entire Ram Report. I was forced to choose to mute the offending section just to get the Ram Report on the air. So I've learned my lesson. This time, I've used free Creative Commons music. I hope you enjoy the tune, and remember always that the time will come when we see that we're all one and life flows on within you and without you. Namaste.
Thank you, Mr. Kuntz, and now with new music, here's Megan Sharp with another moment of Zen.
Oh, hey! I'm Megan, and welcome back to the Stress Less with Art segment. The purpose of this is to provide a fun way for people to de-stress using art. Why don't you step into my studio? For today's art project, we'll be making touchstones. Touchstones are fun to make and fun to look at. You can do whatever design you want, anything that makes you happy. If you want to find out more, go to the Stress Less with Art Instagram page, hhs.stresslesswithart. Hope you have a stress-free day.
Thank you, Megan. And to finish the show, it's of course time for another Carmona's Cut. This time around, he'll be reviewing the school musical, The Theory of Relativity, which premiered last Friday on this very channel. Here's Josh Carmona with the review.
Hey Rams, and welcome back to Carmona's Cut, where normally I'd give you my take on the movies. This week, however, we're switching things up because I just saw the HHS musical performance of The Theory of Relativity. As someone with knowledge of cinema and music, but hardly any knowledge about theater, I enjoyed it. The first thing that stood out to me was the music. I was surprised to see that a live band was performing, and that went a long way to build a strong foundation. All of the performances, including both the band and the singers, are solid, and the songs are all really good. The musical itself functions as a series of vignettes, with characters telling a troubling situation, be it handling the death of a family member, a horrible relationship, or the feeling that nothing in your life will stay static. Then they sing about it, and finally come to some kind of conclusion. I really liked this format. It felt unique and served as a good vehicle for a large cast to sing songs in a variety of genres about all manner of topics. That isn't to say that there's no through line, because although all these stories are narratively disconnected, they do share a theme. No matter what their situation, everyone is coming to terms with a part of themselves and accepting it, not as good or bad, but just as the truth. Ultimately, I really liked The Theory of Relativity, and I thought the HHS cast and crew did a real bang-up job. I'd give this one 5 out of 5 Rams. I'd recommend you watch it here on the Ram Report channel if you haven't yet. I'm Josh Carmona with the Ram Report. Back to you.
Thank you, Josh. If you haven't checked out the Theory of Relativity yet, it's available on the channel for free. And that finishes this week's episode of the Ram Report. Thanks for tuning in, and subscribe to the channel for more Hightstown news. Stay safe, have a good weekend, and as always, have a ramtastic day.